morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at a new supporter card that could end up being a little bit of a problem. If I'm completely honest with you, it is, I believe I'm right in saying, the debut of Cheryl in the Pokemon trading card game. And I mean like a proper debut here. I'm not talking about, well, it had some cards in Japan that were based on her Pokemon. No, ladies and gentlemen, we are just talking about an actual Cheryl debut. Now, I've recently played through Pokemon Platinum, and even I forgot who Cheryl was. And I completed Pokemon Platinum like 2 weeks ago. But Cheryl is one of the Pokemon trainers that joins you through the game. She joins you in Eternatus Forest, and she asks you to go with her because she's a bit scared of Team Galactic. And she's got a Chansey, who heals you completely after every battle. Yeah, that's actually extremely relevant. In Platinum, she gives you a Soothe Bell at the end. Because, you know, who doesn't want a Soothe Bell? Man, I like Cheryl. She was cool. I'm a bit sad that I forgot her, but she was cool. She did me a solid. Go Cheryl. What does Cheryl do? Heal all damage from each of your evolution Pokemon, then discard all energy attached to the Pokemon you healed this way. Now, a bunch of people have basically gone, well, it's max potion on all your evolution Pokemon, but those people weren't playing in Heart Gold Soul Silver era, ladies and gentlemen, because my first thought with this was, it's Blissey Prime in a supporter form, but it doesn't work for your basics. Now, Blissey Prime was one that, well, it literally got second place at Worlds, and there's a strong argument that in an untimed format it would have won, but that's kind of irrelevant. Blissey had the Pokepower Blissful Nurse. When you evolved into Blissey, you removed all damage counters from all your Pokemon and discarded all energy attached to those Pokemon that had any damage counters on them. Now, our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, who at this stage I'm assuming you probably should know. This seems to be not optional, i.e., all of your Pokemon that have energy on have to be healed, which isn't a bad thing, but then you have to discard all the energy from those Pokemon, which could be a really bad thing. You see, all it takes is your opponent playing something like Roxy, and then discarding a Weezing, and you're just putting one damage counter on each of your Pokemon, and then all of a sudden, if you want to play this card, you've got to completely wipe your board of energy. This is something that if your opponent is playing any kind of spreading game, or if they have the possibility of switching to a spreading game, this could be pretty huge. Because it could basically mean that you're not allowed to use Cheryl, and if you do use Cheryl, you're giving up all of your energy. So it can backfire. I needed to get that out there. But outside of that, this is a phenomenal card. This is just over-the-top ridiculous healing. If you're playing a big evolution deck, you know, you're playing something like Decidueye Obstagoon, something like that. A lot of the time, your opponent might not be able to one-hit KO you, so they're going to whittle you down with smaller Pokemon. So you just play Cheryl and you just heal up completely and life is good. But then again, you need to get your energy back. Now, I picked Decidueye Obstagoon deliberately because they are both Pokemon that need 2 energy to attack, and you've got to have a backup plan for getting those energy on there. For evolution decks, this can be awesome. You need to make sure you've got a way to put the energy back on. You need to be careful of your opponent just poking your Pokemon with damage to make them lose all of their energy. But you don't have to play this card, and the fact of the matter is, for healing all of your Pokemon, it's awesome. Blissey forced you to heal all of your Pokemon. That's all a bunch of play in almost one Worlds. I think we'll be okay. But I told you that this card could become a problem, and it absolutely could become a problem because Pokemon VMAX are considered to be evolution Pokemon. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where things get awfully awkward indeed. Because you see, those are big, gigantic Pokemon, you know, they go up to Eternatus VMAX with 340 HP, and quite frankly, you don't one-hit KO 340 HP. Like, it's technically possible. There are things that can. And you know by now, probably, if you watch this channel regularly, that I am a fan of my Excadrill. And Excadrill absolutely can one-hit KO Eternatus. But most things can't. And let's not forget, we've already seen Winden Stadium. But then again, Winden Stadium hasn't seen a huge amount of play now, has it? That is one whereby when you evolve up into a VMAX, you get to heal all of your damage. The thing is, I understand why Winden Stadium's not seen a huge amount of play. Because, well, you don't heal all the damage, you heal 100, but still 100 is good. The thing is, when we're looking at Winden Stadium, you're looking at a V being damaged and then evolving into a VMAX. And it is way easier to get a one-hit KO on a Pokemon V. So, this is very, very different to that. Something like an Eternatus, your opponent, unless they're playing a big fighting deck, they're not getting a one-hit KO. So all you need to do is switch to another Eternatus, and maybe your opponent hits one, then hits another, then you heal them both. Of course, one of the major downsides here is the same major downside we saw with Max Potion, and the same major downside we saw with Blissey Prime, and that is, you lose the energy. Now, sometimes it's not going to matter. Take my boy Colossal VMAX, for instance. I like Colossal VMAX. Colossal VMAX has got a colossal 330 HP, which is pretty big. 10 away from the record. But also, it's got a really nice single energy attack. Now, for 4 energy, it can do 240, and that's lovely. But for a single energy, you do 40 damage, but you discard the top card of your deck, and if it's an energy card, you do 90 more, 130 total, and attach the energy to Colossal. And obviously, we use Oranguru here to put an energy card from our hand onto the top of our deck, drawing a card in the process, and guaranteeing the extra damage and the energy attachment. So now Colossal's got 330 HP, and you can heal up completely. But Colossal can really start taking the mick here, because Colossal, of course, can use Stone Fighting Energy, which will reduce damage done to you by 20 per energy they can stack. And it's got a retreat cost of 4, which means it can use buff padding. So you can essentially have a Pokemon in Colossal that's got 380 HP and is taking up to 80 less damage from attacks. And if you don't one-hit KO it, you're almost certainly not going to here, then you can just play Cheryl and heal up completely. And I do get a real kick out of, now that I've remembered who Cheryl is, I do get a real kick out of knowing that Cheryl is healing my Pokemon in the TCG, just like she healed my Pokemon in Platinum. And that was cool. But does anyone really think that somebody isn't going to make a ridiculous VMAX deck with this and break it? This could have been one of those cards that specifically did not apply to Pokemon that have rule boxes. We saw that wording used with Empoleon. You could change this just to read, remove all damage from all of your evolved Pokemon that do not have rule boxes, or accept those with rule boxes, and discard any energy from Pokemon you healed in this way, blah, 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 but it doesn't. It specifically includes VMAXs. And this can get silly. I mean, the other one that really springs to mind here, and it's not one that's seen a lot of competitive play like Colossal has, but one of my favourite Gen 8 Pokemon, it's that big elephant. It's Copperajah. Now, Copperajah we like a lot. Copperajah comes in with a frankly ridiculous amount of HP as well. I mean, you've got the V and the V Max there. I actually quite like the pair of them. But the V Max comes in with 340 HP, same as Eternatus. As much as I like Copperajah V and I like the attack which reduces damage done to you the following turn, I do concede that unfortunately it's not an evolved Pokemon. Cheryl doesn't want... Cheryl's got no time for your basic Pokemon. Sorry. But again, you can just go a little bit silly here. You can use Metal Goggles to reduce the amount of damage done to you by 30, which is quite cool. You can use Lucario and Melmetal to reduce the amount of damage done to you by 30, really limiting the amount of damage your opponent can do. And then, when you get close to being KO'd, in comes Cheryl. And I don't think these are going to be the last VMAXs we see that can be used well with this. I think this is going to keep going. Something like Center Scorch. Center Scorch is a weird one to me, because on the one hand I look at Center Scorch and I go, well, what you really want to do with Center Scorch is pile energy onto Smash, but then again that's what we thought about Gardevoir GX, and then people started winning tournaments with Gardevoir GX by just basically putting one energy on and then using Max Potion. Of course, it's important to note there is no single energy attack on Center Scorch VMAX, so there are ways to accelerate energy, but firstly, Welder's going to rotate, and secondly, you can't use Welder at the same time as you use Cheryl. Though we did see in the Pokemon Players Cup 2 a really good Center Scorch list that used Lieutenant Surge's strategy and Magneton. So maybe pre-rotation we're going to see people using Lieutenant Surge's strategy to play both Cheryl and Welder in one turn, and that will be kind of hilarious. This is going to be good for evolution decks, especially ones that have energy acceleration or single energy attacks. But make no mistake about it, this is going to end up being broken at some point with VMAXs. I feel very, very confident that at some point someone's going to come along with a VMAX deck and we're all going to go, I think it's going to happen. Score. It's a 4-Wossy card. And honestly, that could end up being a little bit misery. I do think this is a very, very good card indeed. But I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.